So in this case, right, this is your general form. Okay, so one way to factorize this is if, okay, have you guys learned how to use your calculator for your quadratic, right? Okay, so everybody just take out your calculator first. Let's do a recap. So if your model, right, is this one under Casio FX97SGX, right? Okay, you can press your menu setup there. Okay, then you press 522. Okay, then you will see something like that, right? 0x squared plus 0x plus 0. Okay, so you can just key in each of your coefficients here. Okay, and then you will get what are your values of x. Okay, so in this case, let's say for this example, so you're going to key -2, 3, and -1. Okay, then you will get this right in the calculator. X1 equals to 1 and x2 equals to half. Okay, so you're going to work backwards from here. So over here, this just means x minus 1 equals to 0. So you shift this over. Okay, then for the second x value, you shift this over also. This just means, okay, so first you multiply by 2 on both sides. Then you're going to get 2x equals to 1. Then you will have 2x minus 1 equals to 0. Okay, so technically, right, your factors are here, this and this. Okay, so that is the shortcut way. So this is just to see whether your answers are rational or not. Okay, rational, this just means answers that can be expressed as a fraction. Okay, or your whole numbers as well. Okay, so in this case, right, if you get this kind of answer, 1.5, right, these are your rational answers, then you will use the factorized form. Okay, so let's say if you don't get answers like this, then there are two other ways of so-called solving your quadratic equation by your completing the square, which we will learn later, and also there's such a thing called quadratic formula. Okay, so for today we'll cover the normal factorizing and the completing the square. Okay, so over here, right, this is rational inside your calculator, so you know you should do it in the factorized form. Okay, so for factorized form, right, let's say for this example, when you have negative coefficient in front of your x squared, always factorize out the negative first. Okay, so this becomes 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. Okay, then this, right, let's say if you forgot how to use the calculator, then you can do your normal way that you learned in Sec 1. Okay, or yeah, in the guys remember this, the cross multiplication method. Or in this way, right, I think in recent years, there's also the multiplication free method. Okay, so you can just continue doing this way as well. And then you're going to get the same factorized form, x minus 1 to x minus 1. Okay, you can try it out here. Okay, so to x 1, 1. Then over here, you would have 2x and x here. So minus gives you -3x. Okay, so you can do it this way as well. Okay, let's say if you never bring a calculator or forgot how to use. Okay, so that is the factorized form. Okay, then now over here, right, let's say if you're asked to draw a graph, a quadratic graph, right? Your quadratic graph is always in the shape of an N shape or a U shape. Okay, so whenever you are asked to sketch, not plot, plotting and sketching is different. Plotting is when they give you the graph paper and then you plot the points. Okay, sketching is just a rough sketch of it. Okay, so let's say if you want to sketch your quadratic graph. Okay, so there are three things to take note of: your x-intercept, your y-intercept, and the maximum or minimum point depending on your graph. Okay, so over here, how do you determine first where is your x-intercept? Okay, x-intercept, right, is where it intercepts your x-axis. So that is when your value of y equals to 0. Okay, so to find x-intercept, let your y equals to 0. Okay, so over here, y equals to -x minus 1 to x minus 1, right? So letting y be equals to 0, you will have 0 equals to -x minus 1 to x minus 1. Okay, then to solve for this, right? Okay, you can bring over your -1. So you multiply by -1 on both sides, you're still going to get this. X minus 1 to x minus 1. Okay, because 0 times negative, 0 times anything just gives you 0. Okay, then this will give you x minus 1 equals to 0 or 2x minus 1 equals to 0. Okay, this is because of the fact that anything times 0 gives you 0, right? So there are two possibilities. Let's say if you have a times b equals to 0. This just means either a equals to 0 or b equals to 0. Okay, so that's why, right, when you have x minus 1 times 2x minus 1 equals to 0, this just means x minus 1 equals to 0 or 2x minus 1 equals to 0. Okay, then to solve for this, right, you have two values of x. So x equals to 1 or x equals to half. Okay, so this is where your x-intercepts are at, half and 1. Okay, then afterwards, you also have to find the y-intercept. Okay, so now it's a reverse. To find the y-intercept, you let x be equals to 0 instead. Okay, so over here, y equals to, your x equals to 0, right? Okay, so sub in your x as 0. Okay, then over here you would have negative of negative 1. 2 times 0, negative 1. So this is negative of negative gives you positive 1 times negative 1. So you will have negative 1. Okay, so your y-intercept is negative 1 here. Okay, then over here, how do you determine, right, whether it is this shape or this shape? Okay, then now it boils down to your x squared coefficient. Okay, so over here, right, how do you determine that is to look at your x squared coefficient. Okay, so your x squared coefficient is a negative number. Okay, so always think of it this way. So over here, where you have y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. This is your standard quadratic form, right? So if your coefficient of your x squared is more than 0, so positive number. So positive, right? Then you will think of a smiley face. Okay, so smiley face, right? This means it is a minimum point, so it's a U shape. Okay, and then if your a is less than 0, this means it is a negative value, so therefore set face. Okay, so if it's a set face, right, it will be a maximum point. Okay, so then over here, right? Okay, over here our equation is y equals to negative 2x squared plus 3x plus what? Minus 1. Okay, so in this case, right, because a equals to negative 2, which is less than 0, this will be N-shaped curve. Okay, then to find your maximum point, right, because it is N-shaped curve, it is simply the halfway mark between your two x-intercepts. Okay, so halfway mark, right? Okay, over here. So for your maximum point, okay, your maximum point is this point over here. Okay, so you need to find what is the x and the y, right? Okay, so here it is the middle point between half and 1. Okay, so for the x, you're going to take half plus 1 divided by 2 to get the halfway mark. Okay, then you're going to get 3/4 for x. Okay, and then once you get what is your x, right? To get the maximum y, you just sub in your x as 3/4 into your equation. Okay, then you will get subsequently your y value to be 1/8. Okay, so that's why your maximum point becomes 3/4, 1/8. Okay, which is this point over here. Oh, okay. So after you found this, right, which is the halfway mark, 3/4, correct? Then you will sub in, okay, so over here, right, this is your equation. Okay, so when you have x equals to 3/4, you sub the value of x as 3/4 into this equation to find what is the corresponding y value. Okay, so just sub it in. Okay, then you will get your 1/8 here. Okay. Okay, then that is your maximum point. Okay, so that's why, right, your ultimate graph looks like this. Okay, so how you will do this is, okay, over here. First, once you found all your x and y intercept, right, write it down. Okay, so here is your half, here is your 1, and then your negative 1 is somewhere here. Okay, your x and y axis. Then you know, right, your graph is a maximum graph. Okay, so an N shape. So your point, your maximum point should be in the middle. So therefore, find where is your maximum point first. So you get 3/4, 1/8 here, right? Okay, then you link this all up. Okay, so because it is an N-shaped curve, where this is your highest point, right, you're going to draw something like that. Okay, so that's how you sketch a graph. Okay, so that is for your factorized form. So how you sketch the quadratic graph using the factorized form. Okay, so first determine whether it's N-shaped or U-shaped from the A, which is your coefficient of the x squared first. Okay, then find your x-intercept, y-intercept. Then subsequently find the midpoint between your x-intercepts and then sub it in to find your corresponding y value. Then that will be your maximum or minimum. Okay, so this is for the factorized form of your quadratic equation. Okay, now this is the main part of A math, okay, which is completing the square form. Okay, so just now that is your factorized form, right? Your general quadratic equation, right, can also be written in the completing the square form. Okay, so for completing the square, right, okay, basically it's just you want a perfect square form plus some constant. Okay, so over here, let's see an example. So you're completing the square form will take this form. Okay, your A over here basically refers to the coefficient of your original x square in your general form. Okay, so the thing about completing the square, right, no matter what kind of quadratic equation you get generally, always try to factorize out your coefficient of your x squared if it's not 1. Okay, so that is the main thing. Factorize out coefficient of x squared if it is not 1. Okay, so always try to make the coefficient equals to 1 first for your x squared before you complete the square. Okay, so over here, for the first one, it is already 1, so we will continue. Okay, so for completing the square, just a recap. Write the first two terms down, x squared plus 4x. Okay, then you're going to take the coefficient of your x, okay, which is 4 divided by 2. Okay, then for here, right, you just square it. Okay, then what you add in, you have to minus back also. Okay, so minus back this term. And then also don't forget your constant over here, so minus 7. Okay, then this part is the part that will give you your perfect square. Okay, based on your algebraic identity. Okay, so this is x. Okay, over here, you're just going to take this value and this value. Okay, and then for your coefficient of your x, right, it is a positive value, so you plus. Then 4 over 2 gives you 2, so square it. Okay, then there's also this other part, which is your constant. So this one, right, is all numbers, correct? So don't waste time, just press into your calculator. Okay, so this is minus 2 square minus 7. Okay, then you're going to get minus 11. Okay, so this is your completed square form. Okay, so that is for if your x squared starts with 1, the coefficient. Okay, now let's see. If now your quadratic equation, the coefficient of x squared doesn't start with 1, right? First step, factorize it out first. Okay, so factorize negative 2 out. Okay, then this becomes x squared. Okay, so then for your next two terms, right, how are you going to find the coefficient? Simply take the coefficient here, 7 divided by negative 2. Okay, so 7 divided by negative 2 gives you negative 7 over 2. Okay, so that is for the second term. And then the last term also, take 9 divided by negative 2. Okay, then you're going to get minus 9 over 2. Okay, so it is factorized to this part. Then now, right, inside your bracket, your x squared starts with 1 already, right, the coefficient. Then your completing the square will come in here only. Okay, then you will do the completing the square as usual first. But remember, put this square bracket first. Okay, because your negative 2 will be multiplied into the terms inside later on. Okay, so over here, this is x squared minus 7 over 2x, copy down the first two terms. Then taking the coefficient here, which is 7 over 2, you are going to divide by 2. Okay, so 7 over 2 divided by 2 is 7 over 4. Okay, then square it, minus this same term away. Okay, then don't forget your constant minus 9 over 2 as well. Okay, then this is negative 2. Okay, then the first three term over here, right, it's going to give you your perfect square. Okay, now your coefficient of your x is negative, right? So now this becomes x minus 7 over 4 square. Okay, then this part over here is going to give you your constant part. So just key into your calculator. Okay, so minus 7 over 4 square minus 9 over 2. Okay, then you're going to get negative 121 over 16. Okay, then don't stop here, because your negative 2 is going to be multiplied into each of these terms inside. Okay, because you want to express it in this form, right? Okay, so then this becomes negative 2 times of x minus 7 over 4 square. And then negative 2 is also multiplied to negative 121 over 16. Okay, then you're going to get plus 121 over 8. Okay, then that is your completed square form. Okay, let's try to also figure out the maximum and minimum point for each of this. Okay, over here, Annabelle, what do you think? Should it be a maximum curve or right? Minimum curve, right? Okay, because the A is positive, so it is a smiley face. So therefore, this should be a U-shaped curve. Okay, so therefore, this is a minimum point. Okay, and then what is your minimum point? Okay, recap. Okay, for your completed square form, right? Your minimum point, okay, in this form of y equals to a x minus h square plus k. Okay, your minimum or maximum point is going to be your h and your k value. Okay, so this one. Okay, so in this case, for the first example, your minimum point, okay, your h in this case is not 2. It is negative 2 because okay, you're going to treat this as equals to 0. Okay, then your x value should be, okay, so x plus 2 equals to 0, so your x should be negative 2. Or you can also view it this way. So if this is x minus h, right, this is the term inside, this is equals to x plus 2, right? Okay, so then your h, let's say if you move over, this is your x, then x plus 2 plus h. Okay, then you shift your x over to the other side. So x minus x equals to 0, 2 plus h. Okay, so your h is actually negative 2. Okay, can? Okay, so basically, right, reverse the sign up. Whenever you have, let's say, x minus 2 square, right, then your h is 2. If it is x plus 2 square, then your h is minus 2. Okay, so reverse the sign inside. Okay. So your minimum point in this case, it is negative 2, comma, and then your k, right, takes this whole form. Okay, so comma, negative 11. Okay. And then, right, there's another way of phrasing this. Sometimes they ask you what is the minimum point of this curve. Sometimes they also ask you what is the minimum value of this. Okay, so the other way of forming this is minimum value, right? When they ask for this, they are actually asking for the y value. Okay, important now. Y value meaning it is this one over here. Okay, so when they ask for minimum value, it is not negative 2, it is negative 11 when your x equals to negative 2. Okay, so see the way they phrase it out. If they want minimum point, you're going to give the coordinates. If they want minimum value, you're going to give the y value. Okay. Okay, then for example 2 over here. Okay, Hong Kai, what do you think? Is it a U shape or N shape? N shape, right? Okay, because the coefficient is negative of for your x square, right? So it is that way, so it is N shape curve. Okay, so N shape, right, means this is maximum point. Okay, then again, to find your maximum point, right, it's this for your x value and this for your y value. Okay, so therefore your maximum point is 7 over 4, comma 121 over 8. Okay, if they ask for point, but if they ask for maximum value, okay, maximum value again is referring to your y value. Okay, then y value, the maximum one should be 121 over 8 when x equals to 7 over 4. Okay, so this is how you should phrase it. So depending on how the question asks, your answer should be different. Okay, so this is just a summary of what I've said so far. So whenever you have completing the square form, first, to find maximum or minimum, right, you need to determine first whether it's maximum or minimum. Look at the coefficient of your x squared. Okay, if it's more than 0, then think of happy. So you have a smiley face, so it is a minimum value or minimum point. Okay, then if it's less than 0, think of negative, so sad face, then it will be a maximum point or maximum value. Okay, and then over here, right, okay, this is just the reasoning of y. Okay, so let's say for example, the first example. So when you have y equals to x squared plus 4, x minus 7, right? This in your completed square form is x plus 2 squared minus 11. Okay, then over here, right, what you have learned so far about square values. Square values should always be positive, correct? So in this case, this will mean this is, okay, let's do step by step. This value here should always be more than or equals to 0, right? Okay, then when you add, when you minus 11, right, x plus 2 square minus 11. So what you do to the left side, you should do to the right side also. So this is more than or equals to negative 11. Okay, so in this case, right, this means your graph y equals to this must be more than or equals to negative 11. Okay, so that means the minimum value of this is negative 11, right? Okay, so that's why you see for your first example, the minimum value is negative 11. Okay, so the reasoning comes from your completed square form because of the perfect square part. Okay. Okay, now let's see an example over here. Okay, this one continues on from this example over here. Okay, so now for sketching, okay, let's write down our completed square form first. This is y equals to negative 2 x minus 7 over 4 square plus 121 over 8. Okay, so if we want to sketch the curve, first step, okay, for sketching, your first step, determine N shape or U shape first. Okay, from your A value. Okay, so in this case, in this example, your A is less than 0, so therefore negative. So it is a set phase. Okay, so it will be a maximum value or maximum point. Okay, next step, find your x-intercept. Okay, then also find your y-intercept. Okay, respectively, to find your x-intercept is to let y equals to 0. To find your y-intercept, let x equals to 0. Okay, so let's do step 1 first. Okay, so to determine this, right, because your a is less than 0, so it should be a maximum point. Okay, then from a completed square form, right, the maximum point should be this 7/4 as your x, and your y as 121 over. Okay, so that is your maximum point. So you know your curve will be something like that first. Okay, then your point here is 7/4, 121 over 8. Okay, next you need to find all your x-intercept and y-intercept, right? So x-intercept is when your y equals to 0. Okay, so sub it in. 0 equals to -2 times of x minus 7 square plus 121 over 8. Okay, so this is when your y equals to 0. Okay, then over here, don't expand out to solve for your x. Okay, because right, it is in this convenient perfect square form. So what you should do is over here, shift this over. So to isolate your perfect square. Okay, so this becomes 2x minus 7 over 4 whole thing square equals to 121 over. Okay, then further isolate your perfect square, then this becomes x minus 7 over 4 square. So you divide by 2 on both sides. Okay, then you are going to get 121 over 16. Okay, then afterwards, right? Okay, this perfect square comes in handy because you can square root it. Okay, so the reverse of square is square root. Okay, so to get rid of this square, you have to square root on both sides. Okay, so recall when you square root a value, right? Always include the plus minus sign. Okay, so this becomes plus minus of square root of 121 over 16. Okay, so in this case, right, you know your quadratic functions will always have two values, right? Because of this plus minus. Okay, so therefore, I write on this side, continue on from here. Okay, so therefore your x equals to the positive value of 121 over 16 plus 7/4. Okay, so basically you shift this over. Okay, or it could also take the form of the negative square root. Okay, then if you key into your calculator, you're going to get x equals to 9 over 2 or -1. Okay, so these two are your values. Then this is your x-intercept, right? So you also have to find the y-intercept. So this is when your x equals to 0. Okay, so this one, right, you can simply sub into the original one, or you can sub into the completed square form. Okay, so this one, okay, let's just sub into. Okay, let's just sub into the original equation, which is this one. So -2x squared plus 7x plus 9. Okay, so y equals to -2x squared plus 7x plus 9. Okay, so when x equals to 0, okay, so if you sub in, this part is 0, right? This part is also 0. So therefore, your y equals to 9. Okay, so that is your y-intercept. Then after you have done all this, okay, time to put all your values inside the graph. So step 4 is to sketch. Okay, so again, draw your x and y-intercept first. This is your y-intercept, your x-intercept. Okay, then label all your intercepts first. Okay, so you found, right, your x-intercept is 9 over 2 or -1. Okay, so over here, -1 should be on the negative axis. And then your 9 over 2 should be here. Okay, so that is for your x-intercept. Your y-intercept is 9. Okay, so 9 should be somewhere here. Okay, then next, also your maximum point is this point over here. Okay, so 7/4 should be somewhere here. Okay, so it will be here. And then 121 over 8 should exceed 9, right? So it is higher. Okay, so that is your maximum point. So this is 7/4, 121 over 8. Okay, then now you have marked out all the points you found already, right? Just linked it together as an N shape. Okay, with the maximum point being the highest one. Okay, then that is your graph. Sorry, solution. For x-intercept, oh, because you're trying to solve for x, correct? Okay, so basically you want to remove all the obstacles not allowed. Okay, so you solve step by step. So first, shift it such that this whole term is by itself, right? The one that includes x. Okay, then afterwards, when you remove or you remove this one, then you remove the square. Okay, then you take this away. Then you can find it. Okay. Can JD can understand any questions? Okay. Okay, then that is for sketching of your curve when you have completing the square form. Okay, over here, whenever we talk about sketching, we say we always find the x-intercept, y-intercept, minimum or maximum point, right? Okay, when we have U-shape or N-shape, right, there's also a possibility where it doesn't cut the x-axis. Okay, so that is when you have no solution. Okay, so in this case, it is when, okay, there are two possibilities when you have a U-shaped curve that is entirely above the x-axis, or if you have an N-shaped curve that is entirely below. Okay, so this is the two possibilities. Okay, so these are the two possibilities where there are no x-intercepts. Okay, so one is completely above the x-axis, one is completely below the x-axis. Okay, so this is for U-shape, and then this is for N-shape. Okay, so let's see an example. So let's say if you have something like that. Okay, your completed square form, and then to solve for your x, right? Again, you're trying to isolate your x by itself. So shift over your 3 to become -3 first. And then over here, okay, this one, when you continue solving, right, it becomes like that, x minus 2 whole thing square equals to -3 over 2. Okay, then when you want to square root, right, it is not possible to square root a negative number. Okay, so if you press with your calculator, you cannot do that. Okay, so therefore, you have no solution. Okay, no solution for your x. This just means you cannot find x values. That is why there are no x-intercepts. Okay, when you sub y as 0. Okay, because when you try pressing square root of any negative number, okay, you're going to get no solution. Okay, so therefore, this is a case where you have graphs like this. Okay, don't touch x-axis one. Okay, and then in another case, right, let's say if you have an N-shaped curve, okay, because your a is a negative value, right? Then over here, again, let's try to solve for this when y equals to 0. Okay, then you have 0 equals to -3 of x plus 1 square minus 5. Okay, then over here, shift it over, you will have -3 x plus 1 square equals to 5. Okay, then when you divide by -3, right, your x plus 1 square equals to -5 over 3. Okay, so again, a negative value. When you want to square root it, right, it's not possible. Okay, so therefore, for N-shaped curve, right, no solution. Okay, for this kind. So you see the difference, for a U-shaped curve to have no solution, it should be entirely above the x-axis. But for N-shape, it should be entirely below. Because if you see, it is not possible for your N-shape to be entirely above the x-axis, because you can always extend it out to cut the x-axis. Okay, so for it to have no solution, it must be below the x-axis. Okay, so these are the two possibilities.